You know, looks and attention, they don't last forever, but dumb decisions, man, those can stick around and quietly wreck your life without you even noticing. And here's the kicker. A woman who's not so sharp isn't always the loud, obvious kind. Sometimes she's got this charm, style, even smarts that make you think she's all good. But if you pay close attention, the signs are there. The real question is, are you smart enough to spot them? Or are you just going to pretend they're not there and end up paying the price? Hey, welcome back to Behavior Insight. This is where we cut through all the BS and get real about how people tick, what makes relationships work or fall apart, and how to keep your head straight with a little Stoic wisdom. If you're into actually growing instead of fooling yourself, hit that subscribe button. Today, we're talking about 7 red flags that show a woman might not be the catch you think she is. And trust me, missing these could cost you way more than you realize. Peace of mind, respect, maybe even your future. Sign 1. Prioritizing appearance over character. Picture a woman who always looks perfect. Her makeup flawless, her outfits calculated, her selfies polished like magazine covers. She shines on social media, heads turn when she walks in a room, and for a moment you think, she must have it all together. But scratch the surface, and you see something missing. Substance. Her energy isn't invested in who she is, but in how she looks. The Stoics warned against this obsession, not because beauty is bad, but because beauty is fragile. Outward appearance is temporary. It fades, changes, and can vanish in an instant. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, it's your character, not your contour, that defines you. A foolish woman clings to her beauty like it's her only currency. She spends hours chasing validation, likes, comments, compliments, because deep down she fears without it, she's nothing. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as glamour. There's nothing wrong with looking good. Taking care of yourself shows respect. But when your worth is built on filters and fabric instead of discipline, compassion, and honesty, you're living on a shaky foundation. And when it crumbles, all that's left is insecurity, envy, and emptiness. A wise woman invests in her soul. She knows beauty may turn heads, but character turns lives. She builds patience, courage, humility, kindness. That's what endures. That's what people remember. And that's what Stoicism calls true beauty. Sign 2. Refusing self-responsibility. Life is unpredictable, unfair, even cruel at times. The foolish woman's response: blame. She blames her parents, her partner, her boss, even fate. If only the world was kinder, if only people treated her better, then maybe she'd be happy. But here's the bitter truth. As long as you blame, you stay powerless. A foolish woman waits for rescue. A wise woman takes responsibility. Responsibility doesn't mean life is fair. It means you don't hand over control of your life to circumstances. A woman stuck in excuses is a prisoner. She complains about her job but never improves her skills. She rages about unfairness but never adapts. She waits for change but never creates it. The Stoics remind us, you don't control what happens, you control how you respond. And that response is everything. When you stop saying, "They ruined my peace," and start asking, "How can I protect my peace?" you've already stepped out of foolishness. Responsibility feels heavy at first, but it's actually freedom. Because once you own your choices, you hold the pen. You get to write the next chapter instead of waiting for someone else to fix the story. The foolish woman avoids this truth. The wise one embraces it, even when it hurts. Sign 3. Living for approval. We live in a world where validation has become currency. Think about it. Post a picture and within seconds you're checking who liked it. Share a thought and suddenly you wonder, Did that sound smart enough? Make a decision, and almost instantly the mind asks, but what will people say? This is the silent trap. A foolish woman builds her entire sense of self on how others see her. To the Stoics, that's not just exhausting, it's pure foolishness. Why? Because when your identity depends on other people's applause, you've built your house on sand. The first wave of criticism will knock it down. The woman who chases approval bends herself into 1,000 shapes. With one group she's funny, with another she's serious, with yet another she's charming and agreeable. She wears different masks for different people, but over time she forgets which face is real. And when the mask slips, because it always does, she feels hollow. The wise woman, however, doesn't ignore people's opinions, but she refuses to be enslaved by them. She listens to feedback, yes, but her compass points inward. She asks, is this right for me? Does this align with who I want to be? Not, will they like me more if I do this? Here's the bitter truth. No matter how carefully you live, people will misunderstand you. Some will envy you, some will dismiss you, and some will judge you harshly. That's life. The foolish woman exhausts herself trying to fix this, but she can't, because it's not fixable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that. How many choices in your life have been made not because you wanted them, but because you wanted someone else to approve? The foolish woman thinks approval equals safety. But what actually happens is the opposite. The more you depend on people's praise, the weaker you become. Because when they withdraw it, and they will, you're left exposed. A wise woman is okay being misunderstood. She values truth over popularity, depth over performance, authenticity over applause. Her strength comes from acting with integrity even when no one claps. So the next time you feel the urge to seek validation, pause. Ask yourself, if no one knew about this choice, would I still make it? If the answer is yes, you're walking the path of wisdom. If the answer is no, then you've just spotted a place where foolishness still lingers. The foolish woman asks, do they like me? The wise woman asks, did I stay true to myself? One question leads to slavery, the other to freedom. Sign 4. Emotional instability and overreaction. We've all seen it. A small disagreement that explodes into a screaming match. A tiny delay that ruins an entire day. A rude comment from a stranger that spirals into resentment and tears. This is emotional instability, when your reactions are bigger than the reality in front of you. The Stoics didn't teach that we should be robots. Emotions are human. Anger, sadness, fear, joy, these are natural. But here's the difference. The wise feel emotions without letting them control their behavior. The foolish, they react instantly, without thought, and then regret it later. A woman ruled by her emotions is like a ship with no anchor. She's tossed around by every wave. One moment she's laughing, the next she's raging. She says words she can't take back, makes choices she doesn't mean, and pushes people away without realizing it. The worst part? She often blames others for making her feel this way, but the Stoics were clear. No one else controls your peace unless you hand it to them. A comment, an event, a disappointment. These are triggers, yes, but your reaction, that's yours alone. The foolish woman treats every trigger like a fire alarm. The wise woman pauses, breathes, and asks, is this reaction serving me? That pause is power. That pause is wisdom. Think of it this way. How many times have you looked back at a fight and realized the real problem wasn't the situation, but your reaction? That the anger was louder than the truth. Emotional instability doesn't just hurt the woman herself. It spreads like smoke. People around her start walking on eggshells, friends keep their distance, partners lose trust, and soon she's left isolated, not because people hate her, but because they can't predict her. The Stoic path is different. It's about training the mind to stay grounded, to let the storm pass without throwing everything into chaos. It's not suppression, it's mastery. The wise woman knows emotions are temporary. They rise, they peak, they fade. But her values, her principles, her peace, those she protects fiercely. The next time you feel your blood boiling, pause and ask, will this matter in a day, a week, a year? Most times the answer is no. And even when the answer is yes, anger rarely solves it. Clarity does. Emotional instability is one of the loudest signs of foolishness. Calmness, on the other hand, is rare, powerful, magnetic. In a world addicted to overreaction, the woman who stays composed shines like a lighthouse in the storm. Sign 5. Materialism and greed. Imagine a woman who flaunts her latest designer bag, her sparkling jewelry, her brand new car. On the surface, she looks successful. She shines, she glows, she's admired. But deep down, there's something fragile about her. Because her value isn't rooted in who she is, it's tied to what she owns. This is materialism, and to the Stoics, it's one of the clearest marks of foolishness. Why? Because material things are temporary. Clothes fade, cars break down, houses lose value, trends come and go. And if your happiness is chained to those things, then so is your misery. The foolish woman chases more and more, thinking the next purchase will finally fill the emptiness inside her. A new phone, a better title, a shinier image. But the hunger never ends. The moment she gets one thing, her eyes are already set on the next. It's not fulfillment she's chasing, it's escape. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Think about that. Real wealth isn't about stacking up objects. It's about needing less. Now, don't get it wrong. There's nothing foolish about ambition or enjoying nice things. The problem comes when those things define you. When your sense of self-worth rises and falls with your bank balance or how others perceive your lifestyle. Because when fortune changes, and it always does, what's left? The wise woman doesn't cling to possessions. She uses them, but she doesn't worship them. She enjoys them, but she doesn't depend on them. Her joy comes from inner peace, not from flashing her credit card. So how do you know if materialism has you trapped? Ask yourself, if everything I own disappeared tomorrow, who would I be? The foolish woman panics at this thought. The wise woman smiles because she knows she is more than her possessions. In the end, greed is slavery. Simplicity is freedom. The foolish woman keeps buying to feel full. The wise woman chooses gratitude, and in doing so, realizes she's already rich. Sign 6. Avoiding self-reflection and growth. There's a quiet but deadly kind of foolishness. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it looks ordinary, even comfortable. It's the refusal to look inward, the refusal to reflect. The foolish woman lives on autopilot. Same choices, same mistakes, same excuses. She distracts herself with scrolling, gossip, entertainment, anything that keeps her from asking the hard question, am I living wisely? The Stoics insisted that without reflection there can be no wisdom. Seneca wrote, "The unexamined life is not worth living," and he was right. Because without self-reflection, life becomes a loop. You keep tripping over the same stone, and you never realize you're the one putting it in your path. Avoiding self-reflection is dangerous because it hides the truth. You can't improve what you won't admit. You can't grow if you never pause to ask where you went wrong. The foolish woman says, "That's just who I am." But what she really means is, "I'm too afraid to change." The wise woman, however, welcomes reflection. She sees mistakes as teachers, not enemies. She takes time at the end of the day to ask, what did I do well? Where did I fail? What can I try tomorrow? Reflection doesn't make her weaker, it makes her sharper. Avoiding growth might feel comfortable, but it's actually decay. It's like refusing to update the software of your mind. At first, everything seems fine, but slowly you lag, you crash, you fall behind. The foolish woman avoids mirrors. The wise woman faces them, even when she doesn't like the reflection. Because she knows only by seeing herself clearly can she walk a wiser path. So, if you've been running from your own reflection, stop. Sit with it. Ask yourself, am I becoming who I want to be? That single question, asked daily, can change the entire course of your life. Sign 7. Talking more than listening. There's one sign of foolishness that's so common, it often goes unnoticed. Talking more than listening. The foolish woman fills every silence with her voice. She interrupts, she dominates, she offers advice no one asked for. She's not really listening, she's waiting to speak. And in her rush to be heard, she misses the wisdom being offered all around her. It looks like confidence, but it's not. It's insecurity dressed as noise, because people who can't stop talking usually fear silence. Silence makes them confront themselves. The Stoics praised silence. They saw listening as a strength, not a weakness. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote, "It is better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." In other words, a stumble in walking hurts less than a stumble in speaking. The foolish woman who never listens lives in an echo chamber. She keeps recycling the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same mistakes. She doesn't grow because she never makes space to receive. The wise woman listens more than she speaks. She doesn't rush to respond. She doesn't need to dominate. She listens with patience, humility, presence. And because of that, she learns. She sees deeper, hears truth others miss, and earns respect without demanding it. So ask yourself, when was the last time you listened? Not to reply, not to judge, but just to understand. If you can't remember, you've spotted a shadow of foolishness. Remember this: the woman who talks may get attention, but the woman who listens gets wisdom. And wisdom, in the end, is far more powerful. So there you have it. 7 signs of a foolish woman through the lens of Stoic wisdom. Not to shame, not to mock, but to reflect. Because let's be real, we all carry bits of these signs inside us. And the difference between staying foolish and becoming wise is simple: awareness. Wisdom isn't perfection. It's the courage to face your flaws, to own your choices, to grow day by day. A foolish woman clings to the temporary. A wise woman builds on the eternal. So ask yourself right now, which of these signs hit hardest for me? That's where your growth begins. If this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Behavior Insight for more raw truths and Stoic lessons. And in the comments, write this phrase: I choose wisdom. Not for me, but for yourself, as a reminder that today you chose growth. Until next time, stay grounded, stay wise, and remember, don't be the fool who misses the signs.